killed us a long time.
They could have destroyed us so long ago. I would see this red orb, I guess, would come, and it was about, I don't know, what is that, about 2 feet across, 2 feet, 2 to 3 feet in diameter. It would come, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I've never seen a red one.
To this day, I remember every detail of it. I could see it as if it were happening right in front of me.
Because he believed that this song, whatever it was in the zeitgeist. Welcome to the 108 Effect. This podcast was created as a space to pause, to breathe, and to explore the questions that we don't always have time or permission to ask. Across cultures and traditions, the number 108 represents completion, connection, and alignment. It reminds us that there is a rhythm to life, something both practical and mysterious, that links who we are with something greater. Here, we gather to talk openly about consciousness, intuition, life, death, and the moments that quietly change us. Through honest conversation and shared experience, we explore what it means to trust ourselves, to listen inward, and to live with greater awareness. If you've ever felt a pull towards something deeper, or wondered if there's more to this human experience than what we see on the surface, you're in the right place. So take a deep breath, settle in, and join us as we begin this journey together. This is the 108 Effect.
Welcome back to the 108 Effect, where we're talking about disclosure. When, how, what's going to happen. So join me, Tina, Julie, and Dawn as we continue the conversation. The Freedom of Information Act opened up a lot of doors to people that were looking back at Roswell. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the most fascinating things about Roswell, and it's in the government files, is that there was a cover-up by the government.
Yeah.
Absolutely a cover-up. But why and of what? And, it just sparks all these questions. I think we're ready for it. I think most people are like, oh yeah, sure, they live here. They're more kind of nonchalant about it. It's like, yeah, aliens exist. But then
they
again,
intermingle with us every day.
Right. But then again, you look at, we all tend to hang out with like-minded people for the most part. And so sometimes I get lost in that. It's like, well, okay, I believe it, but doesn't mean everybody else does.
Right. And not everybody is comfortable with it. So they do have to baby step it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that some of us have friends who do think that these are demons. We have friends that don't believe they exist. We have some that believe that they mean harm. My thing is if they've been here this long, if they've had these capabilities, they've had this technology for so long, they would have killed us a long time.
They could have destroyed us so long ago.
Right?
I know,
but
right?
They love the earth, and they're trying to help us remain here because
I believe that
us humans were stupid in the fact that we don't all take care of the earth, and we're kind of wrecking it a little bit, in so many words.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true.
They're our family. They're our cosmic family, and they don't want to see any harm come to us.
No.
So I don't believe that. And I think from all the work that we've done over the years, we know that there are certain people that want to believe or do believe that they're demons. And maybe that's the experience they're going to have because that's what they believe.
Well, if you think it's going to be bad, it's going to be bad.
Right.
Well,
it's like anything.
With humans, there's good people and there's people who have bad habits and there's good that do good and do bad. With aliens, and I'm talking about every species, there's species that are known to be better to people and others that are not. I don't think it's any different than humans, there's good and bad.
Yeah.
So,
and 100%.
I'm not trying to see the bad ones.
In a weird way, I would like to impress them.
Yeah.
As a human, I would love to say, look how good we are. And I know that's almost impossible. And I saw a question posed on social media somewhere is if you could, the aliens are coming, they're coming to meet us. Okay. All of us here believe they're already here, but let's just say they're coming. What human do we want these aliens to meet and speak to first? And one of the best answers was Morgan Freeman.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's awesome.
Yes.
That was a really good answer.
That is a great answer.
But who would you want to be the spokesperson for the human race?
Wow. That's a
I don't
that's a
know.
deep
I'd have to sit
question.
I'd have to
Yeah.
sit with that
I
for a
don't
little
know.
bit.
Right?
Yeah.
Obviously somebody who believes.
Yeah.
Well,
But
and
Here's
somebody
the
who's
thing is like, who the
grounded.
hell they've been talking to? It's like,
Yeah,
if
I
I
don't
want
know.
somebody to represent me, we should have a say in it, but we
exactly.
haven't.
Right.
No.
So
No.
we don't know who has made these contracts, if they exist. There's a lot of evidence. I say
Mhm.
that lightly,
Mhm.
but there's a lot of evidence that there has been telepathic communication
Mhm.
with these beings, if not telepathic, empathic. Where we can sense how they feel and what they're thinking and that kind of thing. But who would we want that person to be?
Gosh,
And-
that is such a good question.
yeah,
I'm gonna be thinking
I
about
don't
that until
know.
the next
Yeah.
episode. I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to come up with a couple of good candidates.
I
We'll
don't
have to
know.
I know,
discuss.
right?
Yeah.
Maybe Steven Spielberg, since he just made that movie and he's made a couple of them.
Yeah,
He might be like the guy who's like, I already know. That's how, he's got to be getting these downloads somewhere.
He might be
Well,
He's gonna make these
visually the best
movies.
one to put it out there. I don't know if he's the best one to communicate with them. I think if you relay the information to him, he could make it into a movie and be great that everybody could understand it. You know what I mean?
Well, there are
Mhm.
rumors that a lot of the information from Close Encounters
Yes. I did
came
hear that too.
from secret communications with him
Yep.
about what's already happening.
Yep, I heard
Right.
that too.
Oh.
And that's
Mhm.
crazy. And
Yeah.
that's
That is.
why his was so fantastical, but yet believable.
But if you think about it, that's how movies are, though. Any movie, there's
Yeah.
Mhm.
anything that anytime we have like these little shifts in humanity, it's because it was brought to us by a movie first.
Right.
And those are downloads into the people who created those movies. I believe 100% that Stephen might have been told maybe he just got a download. Yeah,
True.
Could
he's
be.
Yeah.
some of these people are very artsy, and this is what they do for a living because
Mhm.
this is the type of person they are. They can easily
Right.
receive this information.
I can't remember who it was. I was listening to a interview, and it was a singer. It's going to kill me, and a singer-songwriter. And they're most of their music comes with downloads. The message just came through. Boom! Sit down, write it down.
All right, now
I
you
know
need to
that
tell
that
me.
happened with
I think that happens with a lot.
You can't say
Yeah.
that story and then not tell me who
I
it is.
know. I'm going to have to look it up.
So I know that happened with Prince, though. I know the story.
Oh,
that
yes.
happened with Prince.
Yeah.
Yeah, it absolutely did happen with Prince because he called up his musicians at like 2 a.m. and said, "You guys need to get over here." And they were like, y'all know it's 2 a.m., right?
Right.
And he was like, "I know, but I have a download, and if I don't write this now, Michael Jackson's going to get it." Because he believed that this
Yeah.
song, whatever it was in the zeitgeist,
Mm.
which
Yeah.
is kind of what I was just saying about the movies. Like something, whenever there's, a consciousness shift, or if we're
Mhm.
on the precipice of something will get dropped into the zeitgeist. And then
Yes.
that becomes something that anybody can pick up. That's
Right.
Mhm.
the idea behind it.
There is a great example of this in the telepathy tapes. There's an episode where a woman starts talking about a book she started. She just got this download. She started the
Yes.
book and then just kind of
Yes.
stopped.
Yes.
And she hadn't touched it in months. And she gets a call from a friend of hers, and they're talking. This friend is also an author. And she starts talking about her book, and it is identical to this book that this other writer had, and they were able to determine that one had abandoned the idea, and then the next one got the message, the
Oh,
download, and started
interesting.
writing it, and they were identical books.
Wow.
That's
Oh,
a
that's
great example
interesting.
of how, like
Yeah.
Prince said, Michael
Mhm.
Jackson's gonna get it.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
That's
Got to take
amazing.
advantage of it.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, how many times have you had to come up with an idea and you're like, "Oh god, I don't know what to do,"
Yeah.
And then there are other people that are like, "Oh yeah, boom, 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 boom. Here we go.
Yeah.
And I think once they tap into the listening and feeling and
The
getting
flow.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And who they're from is got to kind of bring the conversation back. May not be aliens, but might be spirit guides, God himself. It could be any of these things. Let me ask Dawn a question. So when you see your little friends, have you and I absolutely believe it. I didn't do it like
No,
to
I know.
say. I'm just so
Oh,
jealous,
yeah.
you
I
know.
know, it's just
And for the record, all 4 of us have seen UFOs. We have
Mhm.
seen things we can't explain, not just in the sky, but we've all had these things happen.
Mhm.
But Dawn, were you able to communicate? I know you said you felt calm or whatnot, but were you able to, I don't know, say hi and it said hi back? What was the experience there?
My experience is that the feeling of love, but I was more telepathically talking to them. I wasn't speaking. I was like, "Thank you for being here. I love you," kind of thing. It's just putting love out, saying like, but
Did
there's
that
this
feel
one.
natural, or you did that as a
Yeah.
protect to protect yourself?
Well, it was natural. Just and I would most of my responses are smiling at them because I feel such warmth and
Mhm.
love from
Mhm.
them that I just smile at them and I acknowledge them. But there's this one experience that I had that in the house where I lived, the whole backside of the house were like floor to ceiling windows across. So my bedroom had floor to ceiling windows, the kitchen area and the whole backside. I didn't have any curtains up or blinds or anything. And
Salacious.
I know, but
Right.
behind me it was just woods. Nobody was seeing,
Yeah.
So I would see this red orb, I guess, would come and it was about, I don't know how, what is that, about 2 feet across, 2 feet,
Mhm.
2 to 3 feet in diameter. Okay, just red. And it would come and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I've never seen a red one. And I would just sit there and look at it. And I didn't feel anything from it. I just felt like they were observing me. And this happened a couple nights in a row. On the third or fourth night, another one came. So there were 2 red orbs right there looking. And then I don't know what possessed me to do this, but I got up out of bed and I walked towards the window. And then towards the back at the end of the yard by the fence and the trees, I see this glowing light. Okay, and it's coming straight across like this towards me. And I'm just standing there. I have the 2 orbs over here and this thing is coming this way. And I've been struggling with how to describe this, but, I don't know, have you seen, like, a proton, like, symbol, like, is like whoosh and, like, this different angles?
Yep.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
this thing was morphing into, like, different proton type symbol-y things.
Right.
And it was like whoosh, doo, doo, doo. It's like a heartbeat almost,
Mhm.
And it was, like, doing that in front of me, and I put my hand up on the window, and it was, like, this far away from me, and I felt no fear. I felt I was kind of indifferent. I didn't feel like they were sending me love or anything like that, but I did not feel fear. And I feel
Yeah.
that they were
Mhm.
they were checking out, okay, is this human race? Is this one good?
Yeah.
Is this one gonna be afraid? Is this one gonna like
Yeah.
yell and scream and
Uh-huh.
all this stuff? But I just have a calm reaction when I see them. And then it shot back straight and I was like, just looked at it and then th I went and got back in bed and 2 orbs and then, like, one went and then the other one went. I don't know what.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh, weird.
very
That's
interesting.
That
cool, though.
yeah, that brings me to another I know you guys hate my questions, but, um,
Uh-huh.
so it's no secret to our viewers and listeners that we channel. If you've listened to episode 3 or 4, you'll know that channeling is a part of our daily existence. But there's one of us, I'm gonna give her the chance to not say anything if she doesn't want to, but when she channels, she does hear from a galactic council or a galactic federation and does share some things outside of a normal human experience. So there's a belief that she has a connection to this.
Yeah. I talking about me, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
Um,
I was going to give you the chance to back out if you didn't want to talk about it.
No, no. I mean, I think that because I think I'm connected to the Lyrans because there's always been this. I used to have a dream all the time about lions. Over the years, lions have been a big thing for me. There's always been symbolism with lions, and everything leads back to a lion. It's just bizarre. And I see one of my guides, and she looks like a lion, but very regal, very beautiful. She has come to me. I've had the Galactic Council sometimes come through, and they will identify themselves. Sometimes I'll get different people that'll come through, and they'll identify themselves. And it's a different energy when they come through. I don't know. I don't have a channel ready for it. Let me see if I can find one.
Well, I'll give you a second to do that if you want to read one
let
of
me see if I
those.
can find it.
It does seem, when you're looking at cases like this, that there are people that these beings do come back and visit frequently, like in Dawn's case, or through the messages that Tina is receiving. And Julie, I know you have had a UFO basically hovering over your backyard for a while, or maybe it was the front yard or whatever. But have you ever come
Well, it was
across
over
any
the whole
kind?
house.
Yeah. Have you ever had any kind of interaction with a being?
No, I haven't. It was just more that time when Dawn and Tina were at the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are people that say that you can summon them with love in your heart.
I've tried that.
Yeah.
I sit out on the porch and I just say, I try to have all that, and
Yeah.
I'll say, well, I'm ready whenever you
Yeah.
are. I'm here.
I have tried it too, but then I start going, am I summoning angels or am I summoning aliens? And then, but are they the same thing? And there is discussion out there about whether we are talking about the same thing, that these are light beings from the source, from God, per se.
Yeah.
Boy, that's a whole other conversation too. It's like, especially if you're summoning something with love, why does that matter to an alien? If that's the case,
That's true.
But if they love us and they want to show us kindness and love or whatever, that would make sense. How you doing there, Tina?
I guess I can't find it. It's just bizarre. Sometimes I can find them really easily, and sometimes I can't.
Well,
No, that's
keep
okay.
looking.
We
keep
can
looking.
keep looking.
Going back to the
Um,
disclosure aspect, our producer just put a message in the comments talking about when I described how shimmery they looked, it made him think about the Twilight movies, about how when they went in the sun, they shimmered and whatnot.
Oh yeah,
And just that
absolutely.
maybe that's the movie's way of trying to disclose.
Did our producer actually admit to watching
Twilight?
those Twilight series? There's a story, I can't remember where I've heard this, and I hate this, but there's a story about a young man, a young boy. He was going in church, and he immediately, for some reason, knew that the two people sitting in front of him were Nordics. Some of it is pretty obvious. They were tall, they were beautiful. He described them with a little bit of a shimmer. And while he was sitting there thinking about them, one of them, without turning around, started talking to the boy telepathically. And he could hear them talking, and one said, I think the boy knows. And the other one says, yes, I can hear him. And he was like, oh, crap. And it's like, how do you shut down your mind? How do you go, oh, I'm not listening,
What an amazing gift, though. Wow.
But that was an interesting story from a young child about how it just stayed with him forever, that they knew they could sense his thoughts, and they knew he knew. But yet it was a Nordic couple, okay?
Right.
In church.
Right? Interesting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Very
Go where the
interesting.
people are.
Yeah, so here I am reading this story, and I'm like, is nobody going to talk about the fact that there were two Nordic aliens in church?
Right.
They go where the people are.
Right.
They got to make themselves look normal.
Maybe.
So,
Engulfing in the human experience. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. When in Rome, our producer just said. We are adding a segment on our website, the108effect.com, where we do share our channels with you all. But usually when they've come through to Tina, they've been helpful in her journey. They give good advice. They talk about some of the things that are happening in the world and ways that she could, approach these things. So they're very helpful. It's not, in fact, in all of our channeling, we've been told to love and to share.
Yes.
And that includes from the Lyrans,
Yeah.
that is the goal, that the end goal is for everybody to
love each
show
other.
love,
To love.
experience love,
Because
share
we are love.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because when I channel, a lot of times I don't remember the channels after they're done. I don't know if
Right.
you all have that experience,
do.
but
I don't
I do.
either. It's a good thing I write it down.
right,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you can't remember it because I think it's being channeled, and
Right.
I mean, for
Mhm.
me right now, and I think different people can do it differently. Like, there's some people that can
Mhm.
channel and they know everything that was said, and then there's other people that know
Yeah.
nothing. For me, it's more like a dream state. Like, I can get some of it, but I can't always remember it. So it's frustrating to me because I know I have a Lyran channel and I know I have a galactic one. I think I have 2 of them, and they work very good. So I'll see if I can find them and we'll put them on the website. But
Okay, cool.
I do want to tell you
Okay.
guys a story about one of the other things that happened, and it was relating to the 108 effect. I was at an appointment the other day, and I was out in the waiting room and by myself, and I was sitting there and I was looking at our social media and our website, and I was thinking about it because we had just had a meeting about that, to have a conversation about how we can reach more people to normalize these conversations. So as I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, I really wish I could get some kind of, inspiration, wish somebody was listening to me kind of thing. A woman walks in and she's very visibly pregnant. She's got this cute little boy with her into the appointment that we're in. And she says, I need help. Can somebody help me find this location? And I was just sitting there. She had gone up to the receptionist desk, and the receptionist says, sure, where are you going? And she goes, oh, wait. She goes, 108 Kings
Oh.
Highway.
Oh.
And I
That
was like,
Ah.
what? It was
Yeah, that
not
number
Wait.
follows you
Yeah.
around. It follows you
Uh-huh.
around.
Yep.
It does. Isn't that crazy? It's
Yeah.
numbers all the
That
time with me too. Yeah, it is numbers. But I looked at her and she smiled at me, and they eventually did get her on her way. But I thought it was really interesting. What are the odds of that? Somebody coming in
Yeah,
looking
I
for
mean,
108
yeah.
Yeah.
while I'm
That's
thinking
odd.
about it, looking at our social media.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Yep. Goes back to
Right.
that whole synchronicity thing. For the viewers, the 4 of us, we spend a lot of time talking about the energy that happens when we're together, either online, which is most of the time, or when we do have the opportunity to all be in the same state at the same time.
Mhm.
Have you ever been abducted?
I don't claim to be,
Okay.
but there was time that I can't account for. But I don't claim to be. I don't ever say no. I say no. I don't remember. I don't. It's weird that I can remember. It's like a few months that I can't remember when I was like 18, 19. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Months.
weird.
Yeah.
That's weird.
But
That's
Were you
really
doing
weird.
drugs?
no. Meaning, like, when I think back, when you think back of the time frame, like, okay, I remember getting done with school and I was supposed
Mhm.
to have a babysitting job all summer. And all of a sudden, I realized I didn't babysit for them the whole summer. Like, did I just not show up? Or did I literally had a little panic attack because I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't remember what just happened. Did I shift timelines? Did I,
Yep.
something strange happened. I don't claim it to be anything other than strange,
Yeah.
That is strange.
Yeah.
I think that Julie and I haven't met an alien yet. Notice I said yet. I think that even though Tina hasn't seen one, she is capable of communicating with them indirectly through downloads, through channeling, whatever. And I think Dawn, goes back to, once one visits you, they're going to keep coming around.
But I think that you guys were there though when we saw the one at your house.
Yes. I was just going to interject.
Yes.
Yep. I was waiting for you
Yeah,
to
yeah,
finish.
yeah. I
Mhm.
mean,
Yep.
we should.
I think
we should
my
tell
back
we should.
was to the window.
And my back was too, but it's not the first time some weird things have been seen at my house.
Yeah. I thought we all saw it because we all described exactly where it was when it
Well,
kicked
I
in.
saw
And
something peek out and peek
well, there you
come back
go.
in.
What it was.
That's
Okay.
what it was.
I saw a little bit of something on the top. It was so quick because I was not at the right angle and I was trying to look, and then our mentor is like saying, "Don't look, don't look."
But it
And of
stayed
course I
there
gotta
a
look.
while because it was
Yes.
It did.
Yeah.
And then it moved around to try. We
Yeah.
should tell that story. We should absolutely tell that story
Yeah.
because now people are going to be like, "What the hell?"
I know.
Yeah.
Right? If you haven't figured it out by now, listeners, viewers, we have stories to tell.
Yeah.
Lots
But
of
I do
stories.
want to tell my abduction story. I'm not sure I was. I don't know, but there's some strangeness around it. So when I was in my preteens, I had a very, very vivid dream. So vivid that to this day, I remember every detail of it. I could see it as if it were happening right in front of me. And the dream is that I was somehow in the sky and I was looking out a very thin metal opening. There was metal around it and a metal opening, and I can see off to each side another little rectangular opening. And I'm looking down, and I can see my house that I grew up in uh, lower, as if whatever I was in was raising, and I can see my sister crying and frantically looking for me. It seems like a really quick dream, but I was very aware of everything. The cars in the driveway, the color of the house. I could see other houses, and so it was very real, very real. I only had the dream once, but I have never forgotten it. So let's go years and years and years and years, many years later. I was told by a psychic that I was abducted. And I'm like, huh. And so the first thing that comes to mind is that dream. And I kind of sat with that for a little while. And then talking amongst these girls here, they said, why don't you ask your sister, if she remembers anything? So I decided to ask her. And my brother was actually in the room when I asked her. I said, look, let me tell you this dream. And I want to hear what you think. And the first thing out of her mouth was, well, I think it was that time you were missing for about 4 hours.
Oh.
And I'm like, what? Like, what? And to not know you were missing, that's weird,
Yeah.
right? So I'm like, what do you mean I was missing? And apparently we were playing hide and seek. All the kids in the neighborhood would play hide and seek. And everybody went to hide, including myself. And apparently they could not find me. And they spent, according to her, hours looking for me. And she had gotten very upset because she did not want to have to face my mother and say, Laura's missing or whatever. They were all my brother remembers it. Oh, yeah, you were missing. And and I'm like, what? And then they said they had looked in the house. And then eventually I had come out of the bedroom, my own bedroom. And at the exact same time, my sister had been telling my mom, I think Laura's missing. And then I walk out of the room and she's like, she's not missing. She's right there. Well, I don't remember any of this. I don't remember them telling my mother. My mom doesn't remember it because the best I could figure, let's just say it did happen. It was not significant for her because for her, I was never missing. She just saw me walk out of the room. And now I'm like, wait, what? And to remember playing hide and go seek, that was almost an every night thing that we used to do. So that there was nothing spectacular about that. I don't remember waking up in my room after probably hiding in a bush somewhere. I don't remember that. So I'm not sure what to do with the information. But I do find it very interesting that when I was told that I had been abducted, the very first thing that came to my mind was that what I called a dream. And so, yeah, Dawn is talking about memories, and she says, maybe you're not meant to remember yet. It was one of the things that she told me.
Oh, that could be.
And I'm like, what does one do with somebody for 4 hours? Just
Yeah.
It's got me a little concerned.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my I don't know if I was abducted story.
Yeah.
So, question. When
Uh-huh.
you were in this thing, looking out the windows, looking down at your house, you didn't see anybody else in
No, I
that
think
thing? You were just
in
kinda
that
by
thing
yourself?
yeah, there I
Wow.
never looked behind me. I never looked
Uh-huh.
side to side, but peripherally, I could see the other windows, and I wanna make the assumption that there may have been more. I just felt
Mhm.
like they kept going around,
Yeah.
and it was only like this big, but I was
Oh, okay.
smaller, and I was standing,
Mhm.
and I could look down, and I can see whatever I was in was moving farther away
Mhm.
from my house, and I could see my sister on the ground. She was frantic,
Mhm.
and,
How did you feel?
I guess I would say confused, like, at the same time going, "Wee!"
Going for a ride.
Yeah, I mean and then there was nothing. And the interesting thing is, a lot of us remember dreams, but we don't remember exactly waking up from that dream, or we don't like I have a couple of recurring dreams, but I couldn't tell you the minute I woke up what I felt or whatever. So I have no memory of waking up from this dream. And I've always had very vivid dreams, but this was slightly different. It's no secret I have visions. It was almost like a vision, but so clear, so real. There was no flatness to it in any way. It felt very, very real. And
Okay.
that's why I think it stuck with me for so long. To this day, I can remember every bit of
Mhm.
that dream.
That brings up a memory for me that when you talked about flying low, like low cross, my daughter and I don't and maybe I don't know if any of you have ever had this happen. I think Tina, I think we talked about this once. We had a shared dream, and where one of us was in something, flying, going across a wheat field, and she was the same exact dream. And it was like after we experienced that, then we started writing, asking ourselves every day, "What'd you dream? What was your dream
Yeah.
last night?" But
Right?
Well, yeah, is it possible you were both actually there and
yeah,
what
or
you're remembering is not a
yeah,
dream, but an actual
Was
an
occurrence?
actually
event,
there, yeah.
right.
Did you have it happen again?
Yeah, we did have multiple times where we
Hmm,
dreamt the same thing. So a shared experience of some sorts, but I do think that she wrote them down, so I'm gonna have to talk to her about that and see if we can,
Yeah.
you know, come
interesting.
share the stories a little bit
Yeah,
more.
Mhm.
Yeah.
that's interesting. That's one of the things that's frustrating about this is because I feel like that too. When you have a vision or you have something very real happen and you can remember every detail, like with me with my grandmother or with me with my father. Like there's certain things that have happened in my life that I can remember how I felt. I remember every single detail, what the smell was like, what the room was like,
Mhm.
what the energy was like. And then when I channel, I'm like, do 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 do. My brain's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know. And yet
Yeah.
I feel like the information's coming from a similar place. Maybe it's a different mechanism that's bringing it forth, and maybe that's
Right.
why it's fuzzy. Maybe because you have to use your human brain to interpret it at that point, and the other times that these things happen, it's more of a soul to soul
Mhm.
connection, and you're bypassing the human brain. I really don't know what the difference is, but I can
Yeah.
tell you that frustrates me because I do get, like, confused as to why certain things are very clear and certain things are not.
Not that we digress ever, but let's bring it back to disclosure. And what would you like to see happen in the next year or two with learning about whether aliens live among us?
I mean, I would like to see, the federal level and the state level work together to start collecting the data, set up these UAP research centers, and start to have a discussion about post disclosure because I think it's coming. I don't think there's any stopping it at this point. And the more we collaborate and the better information that is disseminated across everybody, the better off we're going to be.
Mhm.
That's how I feel about it.
I'd like to see more information come out. I mean,
Mhm.
government, tell us. You don't have to give us it all in one big dump, but we know stuff is going on. Just let us know.
Yeah, I think at some point they forgot they work for us,
Right.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Tell us some things.
Yeah. Dawn, your
We
thoughts?
know.
Ditto to what Tina and Julie both said, both. But also, I mean, honestly, I'd like to see one of the aliens, join someone on Good Morning America or
Right.
and here we have the Nordics.
Or enter America's Top Model,
Right.
A special segment on the national news. And today's news in galactic news. Here we have.
Yeah, there you go.
Blah, blah, blah.
Well, Dawn, next time you see one, say, look, we do a podcast. We'd love for you to join us on the podcast.
Right.
I will be sure to mention that. Definitely.
Yeah. I hope the listeners enjoy the fact that, number one, we're not the experts. We did point out some names of some experts.
Right.
We're just everyday people talking about experiences that have happened to us. But also, this is big in the news. You don't have to dig hard to find the information on this. I think as some of these reporters and the people that are pushing for disclosure, they need the people to push too. And I think that's what the Disclosure Foundation is all about, is getting that push out there. And you're going to see more and more of these documentaries.
And the more we talk about it, have, conversations like this, and if it's not us, it's somebody else, a Friday night, let's have a drink, talk about alien situation, just normalize it. I mean, normalizing it. I mean, it's normal for us.
I know. It's like, I pretend we're everyday people, but we know better.
Right?
I can tell you from my experiences at work that people are becoming more interested in all of the things. All of the things. They all know I'm a little strange there. So, some people seek me out to have conversations. So
Exactly.
And some people probably avoid me because of it as well. But
yeah. It's funny. I'm sure as an empath, you can feel those people who are not comfortable with it. I know I could when I was at work. Yeah. And I love the personal messages for those who did not want to publicly ask me a question, but would send me a private message. And I was okay with that. I was like, okay, that's fine. You're not ready. That's all right. But here's your answer to your question.
Yeah. To me, I walk around now, like I'll just say to anybody, did you know they're coming? Did you know they're already here? I'm not even pretending that I'm not a little bit cuckoo.
Right.
But the response has lots been, I've known they're here.
Yeah.
So I'm getting a lot of that. I mean, I just don't walk up to strangers and say it. Just every once in a while, like I told my parents just recently, they're coming, right? Oh yeah, okay. But
I told my daughter-in-law that, and she said, that is none of my business.
That's the best response. That's the best response. Well, I hope everybody has enjoyed this kind of random discussion about aliens and the disclosure from a bunch of people that don't claim to know what they're talking about, but they can absolutely talk their truth.
Yes.
So join us next time. And until then, bye.
Bye, guys. Have a good one.
Keep looking up.
As we close today's conversation, we invite you to take a moment and notice what resonated with you. Maybe it was a thought, a feeling, or a quiet knowing that surfaced as you listened. Whatever it was, trust that it arrived for a reason. The 108 Effect is about remembering that awareness begins within, that clarity doesn't always come from searching outward, but from learning to listen inward. Thank you for sharing this space with us, for your openness and for your willingness to explore the deeper layers of life alongside us. If this episode spoke to you, feel free to subscribe and follow along so that you can continue these conversations with us. Until next time, stay curious, stay grounded, and trust the compass within. This is the 108 Effect.